What is going on, everyone? This is Ninja Geek here, and today I'm bringing you my Until Dawn review. And I wanted to do this video a while ago, but of course you have to finish a game before you can review it. And with this game, I have obviously played through it one time, and I've seen a bunch of playthroughs of it on YouTube. So I've seen this game a lot, and there's a reason for that. There's a very good reason for that. It's just because the game is an overall excellent game, and before we even start the review, I would highly suggest buying it, right off the bat. Of course, you'd probably want to watch the entire review before you go out and spend money on it, because as of right now, I think it is still $60 as of what it says on GameStop, but other sites could probably have it up there for cheaper, or maybe you're just waiting for a whole price drop in general. But first of all, we're going to talk about the entire story, the things that I like about it, anything that I come across within this gameplay video. So let's get started with the fact that within this game, I'm going to try not to spoil too many things. I'm not going to say the entire story, so if you want to buy the game for yourself, you can go and buy that and experience something versus me telling you everything that happens. But I am going to give a little bit of history, because if you know me, I like to talk about history, and that's one of my favorite subjects to talk about in terms of even the real world that we live in here, and that kind of implements into this game somehow. But we start off here, we have 8 friends that are on this mountain lodge, right? And the cool thing about this game is that you can actually play as all 8 characters, so it's not like you're playing as one guy. Let's say you're playing as Chris, right? You don't play as just Chris throughout the entire thing. That would be boring. No, you get to play as Ashley, Jess, Mike, everyone, Emily, Matt. There's 8 different characters that you can play as throughout the entirety of the course, and it's not like you can choose who you play as. It just as the story goes along, you just get to play as these characters, and you just experience different things with the different characters in terms of personality and traits. And speaking of personality and things like that, the main feature and key purpose of this game is the butterfly effect, which is drawn in really excellently here within this game, because it's just like how real life works. Like, let's say you make a choice, it could potentially affect other choices in life, right? So let's say in the game you choose not to shoot something, then it could affect something later on within the game. It's little things like that, and sometimes the butterfly effects are little tiny things, and sometimes they are really key factors that tailor into who's going to live and who is going to end up dying, depending on which choices you make, because sometimes there's fast choices, and sometimes you get a chance to kind of calm down, think about the choices that you kind of pick. But sometimes they are fast choices. It's like, oh, do I run here or do I hide here? Well, sometimes if you end up running, you end up saving yourself. If you hide, you end up maybe saving yourself, but it could affect something later on, or something could happen at that moment which causes that character to either live or die. And, if you're playing through this game the first time that you ever will be, it's going to be an exciting experience, because every piece of gameplay in here is new and fresh. It's not like just a repeat of everything. The story, the written part of the actual story is excellent. Another thing that kind of goes along with the story is the music. The music is very great for this game. The composer, everyone who just worked on this piece throughout the music, throughout the entire game, the main themes, the little side music within the games, the underground music, basically the stuff that you kind of hear in the background, that it's all good. It fits in with the game. It's not something that's completely terrible. Like with a lot of games, they don't have problems with the music. It's just it's just hard to kind of pick correct music, and this music really fits the theme and overall scenery of the entire game. Speaking of scenery, let's talk about the lighting effects, because these lighting effects, they obviously worked on for a long time. Now, if you haven't seen the what's it called, they have within the game, you can watch how the game kind of was developed. So they show you the backstory of different things that were featured within the game. They show how they used actual characters. Like, the characters that are in this game are people in real life, which is really cool, that they actually use people in real life, and they were able to portray that, and they use special cameras, they had special equipment and stuff like that. So it's not like they just made random characters. They actually used characters that were in real life, and they put them into the game. Sort of like if you think of GTA and how the Grand Theft Auto 5 story worked out, like that they actually had the real characters within the game, the real people in real life, and here they have the same basic concept of that. but the lighting effects are very good, especially for a horror game. If you are, let me say this right now, if you are into horror games or games that are sort of like this and you have not played this game or you're worried on picking it up, you really should pick it up or go watch a playthrough of it, something like that, because this game is definitely worth your time either watching a playthrough or buying it yourself. I would highly suggest buying it yourself, though. I mean, maybe if you don't want to spend $60, like I said, the price will drop. But, you know, that's it, the lighting, the music, everything like that. And my favorite part, I think, about the game is the whole decision factor that you have to... Well, there's another part that's my favorite, which I'm going to get into in a second. But one of my favorite parts about the entirety of the game is the fact that the decisions you make can alter things later on in the game. We've already talked about this, but for one example, I'm going to show off some gameplay and of this and kind of talk about it. Is earlier on when you're talking with the doctor, Dr. Hill, you kind of pick different choices. So it's like, what are your fears? What are your choices based on how your style is in life? You get to choose what you're more afraid of. Like, are you more afraid of zombies or clowns or scarecrows and clowns and crows and needles and gore and all this stuff? And you got to compare it. And the different selection scenes way in the beginning of the game, they tailor how it affects. So I'm going to just say this right now. You're probably watching the gameplay, seeing this in the background. In real life, right now, I have a giant fear of needles. Like, I don't care what size, small, big, anything like that. I have a huge fear of needles. I don't care what it is. It's just me. I don't care if you call me a baby. I just can't stand them. Meaning, like, not like needles, like, oh, I can't stand being, like, needles going in my body. I just can't stand needles in general. Like, looking at a needle, I have to look away. I can't even look at one because I just get so frightened. So I obviously chose needles when the choice came up in the game, and later on when the psycho starts chasing you, he actually chases you with a needle. But let's say you didn't choose a needle. Let's say you don't have that fear. You choose something else. He chases you with something else. Like, I think I saw gameplay of him chasing you with some sort of, like, poison something. I don't even remember what it was, but the choices that you pick early on in the game actually tailor into the entirety of the game, and just the overall sound effects, the music, everything compiled in with that the team all worked on, that all these people that came together to make this game are just completely excellent, and I would really, like I said again, highly suggest getting into that. Now, a history thing before we end this review about this game is that towards the end you find out that there is this sort of myth about the Wendigo. I'm not going to go in great detail because obviously I don't want to spoil anything, but the Wendigo is basically a mythical creature that is mythical in real life, so they took that and kind of broadened it within the game, and I like that history factor because it made me want to go look up more about what this Wendigo really is, like defining Wendigo and defining like what they do and how they became. There are obviously different myths, but it evolved over human cannibalism, and the game kind of expands it on from there. So the history of this game, the lighting, the music, the everything, and one of the things that I really like, I mean, the initial main theme soundtrack that you get when the title screen is rolling and the credits are rolling, that theme, Oh Death, I think that's called. That theme is really good. I think that it fits with the theme. Obviously, it's not like the ultimate greatest song ever, but I really like how that was performed, so nice job there. And another thing, before we end this off, is the ending. You can actually, like I said before, obviously have characters die within here, so at the end you get different stories. Obviously, if let's say you happen to let Emily die by accident, then she's not going to appear in the end credits because she will not get saved, obviously, so you have to go through. And if you want to be kind of a bad person, a bad influence on everyone in the game, you can choose to kill off characters or whatever, and that will affect your results later on within the game. Now, one thing before we finally end it is the controls of the game. First of all, the camera angles. I understand that the camera angles are different for a game. Usually, if it's in third person, it follows the person, but here in this game, it's more of like a camera that's centered at a specific point, so it's not necessarily like focused in on one person. You could be like, sometimes I have a hard time seeing what's ahead, what's behind, just because of the camera angles in this game, but I know that they're supposed to be it's supposed to be a horror game, so I obviously understand that. I just had trouble getting used to it. But my one problem, and my only problem with this game, is the fact that the controls, sometimes they're a little bit wonky here and there. Like, for example, like you could be walking one way and the camera angle will change, and then you'll be walking in that same direction, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, am I still going forward? And then you twist the thumbstick in a different direction, and it like shifts and it does something weird. And another wonky game feature is the part where you have to stand still or hold your controller still for some parts within it, because obviously you want to stand still and make no noise, especially at the end of the game. And what ends up happening is sometimes, like, I'll be standing completely still, even though the controller or game won't recognize that I am, and I know I'm standing completely still because it's the moment where it just happened, and a character ends up dying because of that, which ended up happening to me. But I obviously wasn't going to replay it. However, I ended my first playthrough of the story that I played through it. That's how it was going to be. But other than those little bit of wonky controls and getting used to the camera angle, everything about this game is a must-have, and you should really buy it on GameStop. The overall rating is a 9.4 out of 10, which is outstanding. Any game that gets above basically an 8 is a really good game. This game has a 9.4. Other reviews and other websites say that it's a 4 out of 5. Still, though, if that was, multiplied, that would be an 8 out of 10, which is still a highly great game. So between an 8 and a 9.4, somewhere around there. This game is excellent. I highly recommend picking it up. Thank you if you enjoyed my review of the video. I hope I talked about everything, the different things within the entire game. Leave your thoughts below on if you want to pick up this game. Of course, this is only a PS4 exclusive. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but you should probably all know now if you're coming to watch this video if you have a PS4. But yeah, this is one of the reasons that made me want to go buy a PS4. And this game has multiple replayability factors, because if you want to see how the game plays out in a different perspective by choosing different choices, you can do that. And there's just so much to talk about this game. But that's the end of the review. Anyways, I will see you on whatever my next video happens to be. I'm Ninja Geek. I'm out. Peace.
He was out of his fucking mind. He wanted to hurt us. Okay? And I thought he was the one who attacked Jess.